Let's work on inserting some data into our table. Now, as a database administrator and a developer, you will be doing a lot of insertions into tables, and you'll be creating a lot of tables yourself. Now, how do you know the exact structure of the table that you created? The way that you can access the structure is using something called an information underscore schema database. And we can show you that database right here. We'll do show databases. And the first database up here is the information underscore schema database. This database stores certain information about the way that tables are structured, and it stores information about every single table that you have created so that you can access it and then do some insertion or some modification of that structure based on that information. With that, we can take a look at this command here, which is going to output all of the columns inside here depending on what table we choose it for. And we're going to choose it for our sales table. So to select star from information underscore schema dot columns, enter where table underscore name is equal to sales. Let's press enter, and first I'll explain to you what we did here. In our query was quite simple, where we did our select star statement from, and here is something that we've not seen before. We used some dot notation. The first portion here you can recognize as our database name, and the columns is our table. Why do we need this different structure? Well, remember, we are in our MySQL course database right now, and the columns table is not in our database. And in order to access that table from a different database, we need to do information underscore schema dot columns, and then you can access that table from the information underscore schema database. The where clause we'll be getting into in some later lectures, where we show you how you can specify certain records to be printed out depending on a certain condition when it is met. And the condition we have set is that the table name should be sales, and that's quite clear. We want information from our sales table, so the table name that we're accessing should be sales. Here is our table output. We can see the table name here in this column is sales. Our column name is going to be transaction ID, first name, last name, and you can recognize these from the table creation that we did. The is nullable is an important field that we need to take a look at. You can see that the transaction ID is not nullable. Indeed, it's a primary key. However, this is also one of the aspects of a primary key. You can't make it null. The first name is also not nullable. The last name of the customer is not nullable. All of these are nullable fields, and we can see that there is more content to the right of it. However, we can't scroll there, and the reason why it's hidden from us is because the properties of this browser has been set to be the font of 36, and when the font is 36 we can't see all of the data. If you want to zoom out and make the font say 12, you can do that, but for us we only require this column name as well as this is nullable field over here. Let's scroll down and let's do some insertion. We're going to use our insert into, we're going to define our sales table, and then we're going to copy the column names that we had from the top. And we can continue on to the values. And we can put a semicolon, press enter, and we can see query OK, one row affected, and information about the execution of the query. That is just one data insertion that we've done. If we want to do lots of manipulations of this data, then we want to have lots of data as well. And the way that we can do this is work with loading data into MySQL using a file, or we can use a pre-formatted file from websites that generate data for us. Both ways we'll be showing you in the next lecture.